This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, if you'd like to be a guest on the PR Podcast, we would love to hear your story, as the kids say. The show is about how the news gets made, but we color outside the lines a little bit there. You know, we do talk to the PR people and the newsroom decision makers, the reporters and the editors and the photographers and the videographers. But we also talk to people who are social media experts or who are SEO experts or who are, experts in the latest, greatest thing, right? We want to hear how you communicate with the audiences that you want to reach, because that's really what PR is about. And it's really about what communication's about. And with algorithms changing and with everything gets stood on its head every Thursday, we tape on Fridays, but you get what I mean. We want to hear the latest and greatest and the most effective. Because what we want to be is authentic storytellers. So if you want to be a guest on the PR Podcast, drop me a line either at the PR Podcast, slide into the old DMs, as they say, or send me an email direct, jody@jodyfisherpr.com. We'll talk about what you want to say and how you want to tell your own unique story on the show, and we'll get you scheduled up. Now on with our show for today. We got a really cool guest, and she's local. Well, local to me, at least. You'll hear it. Stephanie Scott-Bradshaw is the founder and CEO of First and Last PR, a leading public relations and digital marketing agency specializing in beauty, wellness, and lifestyle brands. A former beauty editor and global marketing director, she launched her agency in 2012 to help brands make their first wins last. Balancing life as a trailblazing entrepreneur and a devoted mom, she's grown her business from a one-bedroom apartment to a thriving Jersey City office. That's the local part. I'm on Long Island. She's in Jersey City. Recently featured in Essence magazine's 55th anniversary edition, she reflected on her roots at the magazine and the importance of creating spaces where everyone feels seen and respected. Stephanie, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you, Jody. And I have to say, I love hearing your voice. I know that we both share a background in journalism, you in radio, me in edit, but hearing your voice live right now, goosebumps, amazing.
Oh, well, that's very, very kind of you. I have a face made for radio, as they say, but you still can't take the radio delivery out of the boy. So what we said, you're local. So you're Jersey City. I'm on Long Island. So we're both from the New York City area. Both got our start in journalism. You were at Essence first. Give us the journalism background first.
Yes, so I started off first in the land of fashion and beauty. When I was in college, I actually did an internship at Essence. My mom met an editor there and told the editor that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after graduation and could I, have a coffee chat with her. And so the coffee chat led to an internship. At the time, it was unpaid. I would take the bus in from Central New Jersey into Times Square. And I was able to negotiate, I think $15 a week to cover my transportation and a little bit of a snack. And then I worked for Nordstrom selling shoes to supplement, the rest of the income that I needed that summer. And the internship was amazing. I had a chance to, work in the closet and organize files. And back then we had press kits, like tangible, hard press kits. So I was the filer of all the press kits. And when it came time to shoots and stories, I helped prepare everything. So I had a chance to learn about that. After graduation, I went into fashion. I had an opportunity to work for Tommy Hilfiger and then Kenneth Cole in merchandising. But when one of my former colleagues said she was leaving Essence, I said, well, who's taking your role? And I slid my resume over and the rest is history, as they say. So I worked for the first, I'd say 4 years of my professional beauty career as the beauty editor at Essence magazine, writing stories, interviewing top dermatologists, hairstylists, makeup artists, going to all the product presentations from different PR companies to different brands. And I think somewhere along the lines, I was making mental notes of like what I liked and what I didn't like about being pitched, not even knowing that PR was anywhere, on my radar as far as a long-term career would go. But I worked for Essence for a number of years under Mickey Taylor, who was the beauty and cover director there. and really just learned a lot. While I was at Essence, I wound up leaving. I was a beauty editor at magazines, including 17, Natural Health, Life and Style was my last one. It was a Celebrity Weekly. And I always say that was like the straw that broke the camel's back because it was a different calling for me. And I wound up switching over into PR shortly after that. But it was an exciting time. And I also did some freelance while I was there. So I worked on some morning television segments with style expert Lloyd Boston, who was launching his first books. I would wound up kind of assisting on set and just really learning the industry from so many different angles and different ways of kind of understanding communications that really helps set the foundation for what First and Last PR does now.
You have really set up the premise here that we believe in, at least that I believe in, is that people who have grown up in the industry and done it from both sides of the desk,
Yeah.
right, have seen the way forgive the pun here, the analogy, the way the sausage gets made, but the way the stuff gets put together, right? We've covered this stuff. We understand how the stuff gets done. So now we're more effective PR people working with our clients, working with the journalists that we work with, and sort of putting more effective stories together. How important was that in you that upbringing, for lack of a better word, to get you to where you are now?
1,000% instrumental because when I was in school, I went to Spelman College, which is a small women's liberal arts college in the South in Atlanta. I didn't know of a PR major. We had like 28 majors at the time. Most of those focus on, sciences, business, traditional things that you would think about, but not necessarily communications at this place. So my major was sociology with a concentration in media studies. I was always concerned with how we show up in the media and what that kind of looks like. So being able to work as a beauty editor first and understand the needs and understand what the deadlines meant, what it means to be on deadline to turn in a story at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night after working all day, going to different editor presentations, coming back to your office to then finish writing the stories and having a press release without critical information like how much does this cost? So is that going to be the thing to hold my story up? Is that going to be the thing to like not move it? And so I think kind of self-taught PR in a way really helped to shape what I understood from the editor standpoint. And then when I left editorial, I went to work for 3Lab, which is a luxury skincare company. And I had an amazing opportunity working with them because this was a founder-run company. David Chung is the owner and his wife, Erica Chung. And so working with them, they had a brand that was luxury made skincare. But what I didn't know before coming in, Jody, is that they'd actually hired two other agencies before I accepted my role. And so what I found out after I was in my desk and I accepted was that they had hired two agencies. They got zero press, like not even like a blog, a small blog that they didn't appreciate, but they didn't get any stories at all. And this is even after doing an editor event at the Bryant Park Hotel. So when I came in, I walked into skepticism. I walked into, what is PR? Does PR really work? Are we going to be wasting our money again on this PR thing that we keep hearing about? And I'm glad I didn't know. I'm glad that I was, too naive to ask the question. But now with all of our clients, I always ask, what's your PR experience like? Have you ever worked with an agency before? Because I want to know if they have, if they haven't, what worked, what they didn't like, what they did like, and kind of walk in. So not knowing was great because I might have been intimidated, but instead I kind of went into a different way of looking at press. I put together my own media lists. This was without Cision. This is without Muck Rack. This was me and an Excel sheet and my own like Rolodex, business cards and mastheads for magazines. That's really how I did it. I had subscriptions to all the
Yeah,
top.
but come on, that those people actually exist. I mean, that's the difference between nothing against I love Monk Rack, nothing against any of those other folks, but those are just like databases and who knows where they come from. When you're putting somebody's name in that list, you've
Mhm.
talked with them, you've emailed with them, you've worked with them, right? How valuable is that?
Yeah, we've had coffee, we've done manicures, we've done the things because we were all editors at the same time. But at least I think the benefit of working with a muck rack, at least it's organized. It was just me. I was a department of one who literally was putting together my trackers in an Excel sheet so that I would remember who I called or who I emailed that day and kind of what to do. So really kind of building out this department, but again, with the editor friends in mind. How would I want to be pitched if I was on that side? What things would I need? How quickly would I need product? Or, was there a delay that was possible? And so I've always kind of taken this urgency, understanding what production deadlines were all about, and also understanding if you miss those deadlines, that means your story is done. That means you don't have a story anymore. So I think my background in editorial has been super, super helpful, not only with people that I call friends till this day that I've worked with, but also I have a real genuine appreciation for this news cycle and for what things mean. So when we tell our clients that we need product 6 months in advance, for photo shoots, or 3 months in advance to be seating, it's because we understand, like you and I understand these news cycles. If it doesn't happen, it just means that you may not be included, and it's a maybe next time, but when is that one big story going to happen again with the angle that you want as breaking news? So, it's been an immense help for me, and I think for people on my team, because this is the way that we operate and we flow with that kind of passion and with that sense of urgency that every editor would expect for us to have, and a huge respect for journalists too. I think that's also been a huge part of it as well. So it's been
So
wonderful.
much great stuff there that you brought us. Let's get under the hood of beauty PR.
Yes,
Because I think people who don't work in the industry, and I think a lot of people just in general may just kind of pass it off as, oh, it's makeup or
it's just
whatever,
like,
right?
yeah,
But I mean, number one, it's super high stakes,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Number two, the deadlines are, eons compared to breaking news or regular feature news that you might pick up in the newspaper. Get under the hood for us just a little bit of what it takes to execute a successful beauty campaign, however you define that.
Sure. I think, for us, we always start off with this strategy first. We have to build out a plan. We can't just go and just think anything. So, the first thing for us, and with beauty, one reason why I've loved it, and I've been working in the beauty industry communication side for over 25 years, is because it's ever evolving. This is not an industry that is stagnant. There's always new innovation. There's always a new ingredient in skincare. There's a new ingredient in hair care. There's always a new fragrance or a way to diffuse it, new technology and makeup to make it stay in a certain way or a certain colorway. And there's just always innovation that's so exciting to myself. So I love the beauty industry so much, and the people that are working in this industry that are so dedicated to it. But typically, I would say a 12-month window is like best case scenario. That's not always happening in today's day and age, but I will say if we can work with the company, with a brand, and know, for the next year, these are the priorities, and we're going to focus on these. And in that time, here's a launch. And maybe for those first 6 months of the 12-month, their internal team is working on final formulation, ingredient information, sharing that with us. Photo shoots. Will we have a model campaign? Will there be an influencer campaign? Will there be both? Are we launching this, as a mailing? Are we launching it in person? Who are going to be the company spokespeople? Is there an expert who can speak to the technology that will really give a different angle? Do we also need to have a hairstylist or a makeup artist to speak to that on top of the scientific approach? Is there a C-suite executive or a founder that can also speak to the passion behind the brand and the values of the brand? So we try and look at multiple layers of telling the stories. And we also look at different editors at the same time. So I think within beauty, there are some late breaking stories, and those could be, more reactionary, but we try to really get out the information about what this product is and what it does. And what we find is that usually when people are picking up a beauty product, whether it be a lipstick or a fragrance, they want to feel good. They want to look good and they want to feel good. And you can say that it's fluffy, you can say that it's whatever, but at the end of the day, everyone wants to wake up feeling strong and feeling confident. And a lot of that comes from what you put on. And I don't mean that you have to wear makeup. It can be, a man who's putting on the right skincare that makes his skin feel a certain way. It can be a body wash that someone uses and you just feel crisp and like ready to conquer the day, or not having what you need and not feeling fully put together and not feeling like you can show up as your full self in the boardroom, in the doctor's office, etc. So it's really about just preparing yourself and feeling great. I think that nowadays consumers are facing different things. So, we're working out differently. We're interacting with each other in public differently. So there are a lot of different needs that consumers have, and the brands that we work with usually are trying to address those needs, solve some issue maybe they've had, whether it be hair growth, maybe it be thickening of hair. Just it ranges from those angles. But beauty is an evolving industry, and there's always something new that's happening, and there's always a new story and a new way to tell it. And so we'll look at things from those angles. And I think also one thing that every PR pro should know is when you're thinking about your launch, who's your target person that you're speaking to? Is it an influencer market? Is it an editor market that you're reaching, or is it both? And what are the best ways to approach and the different angles and the layers that you want to tell those stories? And I will say that I think now, like, authenticity matters so much ever since social media has taken about. We've seen so many brands take to social media to tell their stories, and that's because consumers want to know who's behind the brand, what do they stand for, what causes are they aligned to. And so it's really, really, really important that brands also look at that side of things as well. What is their messaging going to look like? I saw on Instagram maybe 2 days ago, I won't say the brand, but there was a brand that everyone loves. They've got 8 million followers and, highly respected. But they did a campaign with an actor with a controversial news history. There was some news that the actor did something related to domestic violence. And so I don't know if it's true or if it's not, but when they put the post up on Instagram and included the actor in there, and it was highlighting a lip product, the comments flooded, almost 8,000 comments, really saying, I can't believe you put this actor in there. Why are you associating with them? And the next post that went up the same day was, we heard you. You will never see this campaign again. So I also think that within any industry, beauty included, a lot of that prepping for your launch is also considering who are you partnering with? What do they stand for? Do they align with your core audience? And if so, how do you push those things forward? And if not, making the determination of whether or not that person's a good fit or not a good fit for your audience. So there's a lot that goes into beauty launches, very, very layered, depending on what the product is. I could probably talk the entire podcast about it, but there's a lot that goes into it, from technology to spokespeople to timing, the right imagery, obviously, and making sure, number one, that you actually have product available at the time of the launch to get out to the editors and to the influencers as well.
So many things to unpack there. Yeah. And really interesting to hear you tell that story about a beauty campaign and a launch that also included crisis communications right out of the gate,
Yeah.
which is something you really don't think about when you're thinking about selling something in the beauty sphere, right?
But you have to. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one thing. So for companies that don't value PR, do we need PR? You do, because these are things that we're constantly thinking about. We do a lot of research at First and Last PR behind brands, behind the campaigns, behind everything that we're going to be associated with, to make sure that we're vetting things properly and that this is really going to be a win for the client. So it's something that everyone should really consider. There is no small industry. There's never just a lipstick. Everything is always really important, and consumers are aligning with brands they trust. That's just the bottom line.
Wondering how engaged the clients are. You talked about multiple people on the client side, right? The CEO, the product expert, the scientist, the influencer, but all the people in-house. How engaged they are immediately after launch. And here's sort of the setup to the question is, some clients, and we've all run into them, right? Hire a PR agency, put their feet up on the desk and say, tell us when I'm in the newspaper or whatever, right? And we know that no client that has ever been successful has ever behaved like that. And
Exactly.
it's our job to pull them back into the conversation. No, you need to be engaged. You need to be, giving us information, giving us feedback. We need to be in regular communication. Maybe not every day, but I guess in a launch period, you're probably in communication every day. How do you get a disengaged client who may be launching their product and saying, "Okay, this is going to be great," and off it sails, and then you come up against what you just described with the crisis communication. I mean, I'm imagining like everybody circling the wagons, getting around the table and going, "Oh my gosh, what do we do about this?" But if they're not engaged, that conversation doesn't happen. So how do you pull disengaged clients who think it's your job and not theirs to get press
Mhm.
back into the conversation?
Well, I'll say two things. One, you're right. I think clients that aren't engaged don't do well. And so typically in our vetting process, we won't work with clients that aren't very passionate and won't be hands-on. So I think that there's a level that once you've onboarded a client, they will have trust in you because they've seen how you work. You have a good communication style. You are, leading up with what you're doing. And so there becomes a comfortability. But I think becoming comfortable and not being engaged in your own brand are really two very dangerous things. So I think one thing that we do to keep our clients engaged would be constant communication, which, like you said, doesn't mean we have to have a PR meeting every single day, but certainly we're emailing our clients, we're in contact. That could be from press hits that we've, secured and we send out. It could be that we've seen a news article that may be of interest. It could be about their brand, or it could be something different. It could be about tennis, that they're tennis fans. But we try and keep our clients engaged and really feel like an extension of their team. And that's not just something that we say in words, but really that if we need to text a client, we'll text a client something, but really trying to make sure that they see what's happening. I also think that reporting is super important. So we're very big on our reports, looking at KPIs, communicating with our clients as well. What are your expectations for this launch? So that way we know. Maybe we're thinking they only want to see press in print, but maybe they want to see a full 360 campaign. So the first thing that we do, we always start off with strategy. We build out what we're planning on doing. These are the avenues. We get the client to sign off on that. We do a huge presentation so that they're aware visually as well what that looks like. And then we also have measurements of success and we track along those. At the end of the day, whether you're working with a marketing, director, manager, VP of marketing, every one of the companies reporting into someone. They're reporting into the CMO, they're reporting into the CEO, they're reporting into the board. And so at some point, someone's going to ask that person, how's it going? And so, they need to be engaged with it. But I think the more that you can do to keep the communication open with the brand, with the client, and let them know what's happening. And again, sometimes it could be campaign specific, or sometimes it could just be, hey, I saw this article in WWD, wanted to share this out with you. This is really important. We also look at other things. We look at industry awards as well. So we don't just look at product launches specifically, but how is that brand showing up in total as far as industry goes and what's happening at retail. And so we'll share those things out as well. We also like to offer our clients tips. So if we've had amazing press hit, let's say that it's in Ulta and we know that our client is retailing in Ulta, send it over to those buyers, let them know, send it to your sales team. So we also try and work with our clients. So it's not just, our day-to-day reports that we're working with our partners, but also their full team. Their sales team should know when the press hits are coming out. Their digital marketing team should know, their social media. If we're not managing it, they should know as well. And so for us, this really is more of a full picture service that we're offering, and to keep them engaged that way. So it is something that it should be top of mind PR all the time.
Is it all about launch with beauty, or what's this? What's step two? Right. No, I figured that was the answer, but paint the picture here. Okay, product launches, but what comes after product launch?
Yes, that's a great question. And sometimes people will say, well, I'm not launching anything new. Do I need PR? Yes, you do. If your brand exists, if you're on shelf, if you have a D2C website, you need PR. And so again, for us, it goes back to strategy. Are we focusing on new products? Are we focusing on your core products? What are some of your goals as a company? That's really important for us to know. What are some of your retail goals? How do you want to connect with consumers? What stories do you have that they don't even know about that might be appealing to them, but you never thought they're going to care. Maybe we have a client that's been giving back to so many different nonprofits, and their consumers never knew about it. And so we made a huge focus telling them, and not that their goal was like, let me donate time, let me donate money for the sake of getting PR. They're doing it because that's just part of who they are. They like to give back. But we also felt that it was really important to open up and let your community know what you're doing and how you're giving back. And you never know. One story that you're telling about why this is important could touch someone in a really special way. So for us, we look at really, three core messages for that client. Not necessarily a new product, but it could be existing. It could just be about what that brand stands for, who they are. And then we look into the stories and the pillars that we want to speak to, and also who are the top journalists and the outlets that can help to tell those stories in really unique and cool and interesting ways. So we have one client. This is our first ever client. They've been with us for 13 years. Their name is Oyen Handmade. And I was telling the team the other day, They're an amazing company, family run. They make food grade hair and body products for the whole family. They're available at Whole Food stores and just really fantastic. They haven't launched a new product in probably 5 years, but consistently great stories. They launched a non-scented version, a collection of their top popular lines last year. And that's because they launched at hospitals in Maryland, because usually when you're in hospital, you need something highly moisturizing and you need something without a scent so that it's not going to affect the skin in any way. So they haven't really launched anything new, but there's a lot of news in what they're doing as a company. And we've been very successful when securing press for them and for some of those launches. So it doesn't always have to be a new product. It needs to be news that's actually happening.
Couldn't agree more. So you now having again, we said grown up in the industry, right? But you've done it from multiple different angles. Is there something that you came across, some lesson that you learned, some experience that you had that has kind of informed how you got better at what you do and how you bring that along in your work or pass that along to your staff?
I mean, I would say yes. As an entrepreneur, I definitely learned, through trial, definitely learning along the way. But I've also stayed the student, and I think that's been one of the things that as a business owner has helped me a lot. So when I say that, I usually listen to a lot of webinars. I try and attend, but I've also attended different business cohorts. So I've gone through Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. My company is certified by WeBank and by NSCC. And so with WeBank, there are constant learning platforms and cohort. I'm in a cohort right now called the Sage cohort, which is being sponsored by Capital One Bank, and it's really focusing on business and business growth. So I'm constantly looking at ways that we can increase from a business standpoint and what do we need to know from that angle. So I think staying a student has really been helpful for me as a business owner. I think from a PR perspective, what's been helpful is really listening to my team and, making sure that yes, I'm in the top seat, but I hired people around me because they're smart and they also have other perspectives. And so I've never wanted to have people around me that are just like, yes, this is great. This is so wonderful. No, I want to hear if you have a conflicting opinion, I want to know why. I want to know why you're saying that. What's your angle? And then I'm really curious to see what does that derive from and what can we do with that. And so I think also being open to other ideas. We're also a company at First and Last PR where everyone has a voice. So I've hired people, usually like a junior staff that's come on board in the first couple of weeks, they don't talk in meetings. And one time I realized this, and so I asked someone, I said, you haven't said anything, you're not contributing. And that person said they weren't allowed to speak in other meetings. Like they would be on client calls, but they were kind of there almost like models, like look how many people are on the conference call, but they weren't allowed to actually have an opinion. And so that to me was something that never really crossed my mind. So for us, I like to hear what my team has to say. I may not always agree with it, but I certainly want to hear what their thoughts are. And I think one of two things, if they're right, let's go for it. If they're not on the right track, let's talk about that. So the next time they speak up, they have a different view on things and they can explore it. So I think that my team, my current team, and even, former employees that I still stay in contact with, I'm always learning something from them or a different perspective on PR that maybe they're getting that I didn't see. And I love that feedback as well.
Well, doing a great job over there and certainly balancing, like we talked about, business and private life. I know you're a mom of two teenagers,
Yeah.
and I'm a dad of two teenagers as of a week ago, which is just crazy. Yeah, a lot going on. Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your time and your input here and your reflections. We're not done with you yet, though. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Stephanie, let's begin with rapid fire question number one. What's your favorite news source?
Oh, I don't want anyone to get mad. Rapid fire, I'll say WWD, but I've got 5,000 favorite news sources, but I'll just keep it there.
WWD is the Bible. Fire off a couple more. Go ahead.
Beauty Matter, Beauty Independent, Vogue, Allure, CNN, MSNBC. That's like my evening
Right.
mother, yeah. um, ABC, Good Morning. I mean, just everything. I'm a consumer of all the publications and all the podcasts too. So everything really. And also Instagram. I like to get news from Instagram sometimes.
Well, that's a preview of rapid fire question number two, which
Yes.
is what's your favorite social media platform?
Um, Personally, I like Pinterest for myself. I like to just explore ideas on Pinterest. I can get lost in Pinterest for hours. The company's favorite is Instagram and LinkedIn, but I love Pinterest just for brainstorming and just the design features. I love it.
Definitely. Rapid fire question number three, coffee or alcohol?
Ooh, matcha.
All about the matcha.
It's about the matcha. If I had to choose an adult drink, I would say Saint Enzo Lambrusco. It's a new wine that we're representing. So of course I would say Saint Enzo. They're amazing, but for my day-to-day while I'm at work and I can't have Saint Enzo, I'll have a matcha.
Nice. And got the Klein plug in there. Very good. Well done. Well done. Rapid fire question number four. What's your favorite on the run food?
Doubles.
What is it?
I knew I would get you, Jody, with something. Doubles. So if I'm on the run, I have to have something fast. It's a Trinidadian food that you eat. Amazing. It's made with chickpeas and it's so yummy. So doubles.
Oh wow, that's all right. Now I have to find this.
You're gonna
Where
find
can we
it.
find this?
Any Trini restaurant, usually in Brooklyn. There's some in Queens, or we have some here in Jersey also. So it depends, but doubles.
All right. You've given me a new unlock in life.
Good.
And rapid fire question number five. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Oh, I want to be known for having an impact in the industry. I don't want to retire, and I retired for the sake of retiring, but I want to make sure that I've left some legacy behind me. And so I think that's really important. A lot of the work we do is service focused. And so I make sure that at the end of it, first and last PR has done something amazing. So I want to be known for doing good in the industry and making a difference within our industry.
That's a great answer. I'm not sure that we've had one that good. All
Oh.
right, Stephanie, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you and First and Last PR online.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm online at Steph Scott Rocks, and First and Last PR is on every single handle at First and Last PR. So FIRSTANDLAST, the letter P like public, R is in relations. That's it. No, dot com.
That's it. And we will put all those in the show notes so people can find you very easily. Thanks again for Stephanie. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.